Awesome. Well, my name is Special Agent Jones. As you can see, I go by just Tay. If you ever need anything, you can just holler at me. I work for the Secretary of State, and I do trademark and counterfeit enforcement. You might think, well, what's trademark and counterfeit, and how does it fit for back to school? And this is why. Because we are seeing in a massive, massive explosion into the schools, into the districts, into, I got a call from somebody I work with about 4 months ago, and they had first grader vaping in the back of the bus. So it reaches every single stage of childhood development. And as you can see here, very clearly, you have a real ELF bar and a fake ELF bar. So not only is it addictive chemicals and hindering to the growth of a child, but the fake ones, as we'll get into the presentation, have addictive chemicals inside of it that are even more harmful to the body. And these are being sold at your local gas stations and vape shops as well. And then over here on this side, as you can see, we have Skittles, and below it is a CBD THC infused Skittles with confusingly similar and identical packaging on the outside that if a child does not know how to read yet, they still know that is Skittles. Maybe not the zombies one, but up here I have a bunch of examples of just identical, the red Skittles with the rainbow. They will know that that's candy that they eat at Halloween or that they find around the house, and that maybe they shouldn't have it because they're not supposed to have candy, but it is safe for them to ingest it. Some of the goals from the presentation would be to be able to identify, detect, and protect the youth from dangerous, unregulated counterfeit nicotine, CBD, THC, and other consumable products. Understand the inherent risk of health and safety dangers of counterfeit goods, and understand the global impacts of counterfeit goods. So what is a trademark? Does anybody, an example, what's a trademark that comes to mind? Nike, yep. So for Nike, we would have the swoosh, we would have the name Nike, we would have just do it. Those are all trademarks. It can be any phrase, logo, design, like Louis Vuitton, they own the floral pattern, they own the LV, they own the checker pattern that is interlocking. It's any mark that will help identify the product or service to a consumer to know what they're buying, and then that will give it the notable reputation that it is a good product, or maybe it's not a good product, but it works. So it is federally illegal in all 50 states that you cannot sell counterfeit goods. So 18 USC, so identical with or substantially indistinguishable from a mark registered from the Goods and Service on the United States Patent and Trademark Office, which would be USPTO. You can search up these anytime. They redid their website. It is fantastic. If you go into a vape shop and you see a candy that you might say, man, that kind of looks like it's being targeted towards kids, it might not be a real candy. It might be somebody drawing their own product, which would not be a trademark or counterfeit problem. But if you see Chester the Cheeto on the front of one, then you know that's probably a trademark, and that's where I come in, and that's how I started working these cases. And the other, it doesn't have to be identical. It can be confusingly similar. So that would mean if it is likely to cause confusion, cause mistake, or to deceive. So if they spell Skittles at the end with a Z, that is still Skittles. They cannot say, hey, that's what we would see back in the day, Harley Davidson, and Harley would be with an I at the end, and they say, oh, that's not Harley Davidson, that's Harley Davidson. It's like, well, that's the same thing, so we're gonna keep on moving. You can't do that. In North Carolina, we have a general statute that is a criminal offense for selling counterfeit merchandise, and it's anybody that knowingly and willfully uses or causes to be used a counterfeit mark in conjunction with the goods and service intended for sale. All that means is you can't sell counterfeit. If you sell counterfeit, you'll get charged, or you might get a warning. The same as if you get pulled over You could get a warning for speeding, or you could get a ticket. It's the same, works the same way. It's a criminal offense. If it's less than $3,000 that the brand says it's worth, not what you're selling your bootleg Louis Vuitton or counterfeit vape products for, it's whatever the brand says it's worth, because that's who we're protecting. We're protecting the brand or the business owners. Then it's a misdemeanor. So it's a citation, just like getting a speeding ticket. If it's more than $3,000, then it's a Class I felony. Everyone knows felonies. You see them on TV. Everyone makes a big deal about it. So more than $3,000, you're already looking at that type of jail time and that type of offense on your record. The last part would be more than $10,000, and it would go up one class to an H. So it keeps on moving up. And then also if you are producing, so that means if you're making any type of counterfeit merchandise, if you're making labels for baggies that are branded for candies or Skittles or Frito-Lay, and you're selling them with CBD or THC products, that it's only a felony in North Carolina. There's no citation or misdemeanor statute for producing or manufacturing. And that would just be knowingly use any object, tool to make or produce. And then all of that would be up for seizure when we would do a search warrant or make the arrest. So any personal property, including object, item, machine, device, or your vehicle, can be seized if you're manufacturing and making counterfeit merchandise and then distributing them across the state. If you go to a flea market, sometimes you run into, I'm not selling this, doesn't have price tags on it. If you have more than 25 items or more, it shows that you have them to be sold. So we use this sometimes at flea markets, or if you're not at a gas station that is stickered prices on every single item or on the countertops. This is how we make some of our cases. Or if you pull over and make an interdiction stop, someone going to a flea market or moving a lot of product, then they have it to be sold. Normal stuff that we see, designer bags, Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Marc Jacobs, athletic wear, Nike. Nike's the #1 most counterfeited product in the world. It's their shoes, and it's not close. We have some drugs, counterfeit Viagra. We get them out of the vape shops and mom and pop corner stores very, very regularly. Mylar baggies up here, and I'll have pictures because I know I'm a little far away. These empty Mylar baggies, they look like they're sealed. They have these little perforated tabs, and they have a little Flavor Saver zipper in it. You can go to the vape shops and you can buy these, open them up, put whatever you want on the inside of them, and then sell them. Sometimes when you go into these vape shops and buy flower or their bud that is CBD, sometimes they'll put it in this and then send you out the door with it. First time I ran into this was a college campus where a young entrepreneur kid was buying really low-end marijuana, and he was buying these because it said California on it and putting it in there and then upcharging, saying it was a California product. He wasn't doing it because it was trademark. It was just because it was California and he was trying to make more money. But it's the same with these vape shops. If it's, people know if it's from Oregon, if it's from California, or if it's from Colorado. Those are kind of where you want your highest grade to be from. So a lot of those packaging will have it on it, and then they'll use it even though it could be CBD grown from Tennessee or right here in North Carolina, but they want to see the brand value of it being from out of state. Items typically sold located online obviously became a massive, massive boom during and after COVID. Flea markets, they're starting to come back around. Boutiques, roadside setups, and vehicles on traffic stops. Tobacco and vape shops are a growing concern. We do have a task force. We do have task force officers here in Gastonia PD and Gaston County PD. They're a great resource. We teach them, we put on a huge conference every year, and have people coming in from Michigan and California. We have brands, Louis Vuitton will be there, and they give presentations and talk about all this and give them their training. So if you see this in your schools and you can't get a hold of me, then you could reach out to them as a local contact. And I'll back up for a second, just real quick. I have 50 counties. There's only 2 of us in the state. So if you can't get a hold of me, I'm probably somewhere in the state driving or doing another case. So that's why we have so many TFOs, 151. I think it's up to maybe 160 or 170 now. Because my phone, I can only answer 1 phone call at a time. So luckily here in Gaston County and Cleveland County, we probably have about 6 or 7 TFOs right in the surrounding area that have access to some counterfeit specific training and experience for handling these situations. Helpful links, like I said earlier, USPTO, U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. You could look up any of this. If you see something that might look like it's targeting kids and you look it up and it doesn't fall into identical or confusingly similar, then it would be something to reach out. And there are growing trends and growing legislation with how they're going to be branding this anyways. So maybe cartoons, they might write it into law that they can't have a cartoon on the package. We don't know what that's going to look like right now, but it can. And also the reason why I'm here and why I specifically enforce this under the Secretary of State is because we hold the trademark registry for the state. So if you're a local business and you want to make candles or do woodworking and you want to trademark your product to let everyone know that yours is better, and when people see your logo, they think the same as Nike. You're the Nike of woodworking. If someone's knocking your stuff off, you would reach out to me as well. We enforce both the state and federal registry. So how big is counterfeiting? According to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, it's a $500 billion a year economy. That's how much is lost because it's all counterfeit. So it's not going to the right resources and the right ownership. CBP, Customs and Border Protection, has seized an estimated $2.4 billion in counterfeit merchandise last year. So counterfeit vapes and e-cigs. Has everybody seen a Elf Bar or a Lost Mary? So these are all-in-one disposables. These were the big ones for a while. We have a video in a little bit showing the quality control and how these are maintained at counterfeit manufacturing warehouses overseas, just in a little bit. But we have the fake Elf Bar up here. You can see that they're very similar, that the Elf Bar BC 5000, it's not as centered on the front. And it's also, you can't tell from the photo, but it's a little bit more worn out. But the main problem is that it keeps going in and out of pockets. Obviously it's a vape. Even if it's someone that's of age that can have it, it's going to wear out very fast. The easiest way to tell if these are real or fake is they're having so many problems, and all these companies have gotten sued so many times because of fake ones making people sick, that they all have a little QR code on it, and you can type in that code. So if you have the box, or some of them are now actually on the actual product, on the housing, you can type that in and see if it comes back as an authentic serial, or if that same serial number has already been used, then that's a very big red flag that it's counterfeit, because these counterfeit manufacturers will buy real product and then take that code and think that it's a lock code and not a unique serial number, and they will just reprint across thousands or even millions of different items. So that is the easiest way to tell. When you start getting into the Elf Bars or any type of the vapes, this 5,000 is how many puffs that you should get out of it. So that's just good knowledge. If you get one, if a kid says that they don't really vape that much, it's their first time, they might have a 10,000 hitter. That means that they vape a lot. Because if they're moving through, if they had to move up from 5,000 puffs to 10,000 or 7,500, then you could go, if you're not a big vapor, these are pretty big. As you can, we're not massive, but they fit in your hand. The smaller ones that are much more easily concealable have a lot less hits, obviously. So if they don't really vape and it's the first time, they're probably going to have a very small one as well. This is the QR code for Lost Mary that I was talking about. You can punch in the code. The new ones you'll just scan and it will just take it for you, so you don't have to read off the numbers and worry about maybe typing in the wrong number. On all of these websites, they have authenticity checks, and then they also have counterfeit news related out on their website, because it is such a problem. These Ooze pins, we had a personal call from Ooze. They are a United States brand, and their Ooze pins the counterfeit ones were blowing up in people's pockets because the lithium ion batteries were not up to standard. So when you would hold down the button and it would warm up whatever you put on top of it, it was overheating and it was blowing up. And then who gets sued for that? The manufacturer, even though that it's counterfeit. So we went around Western North Carolina and worked a large scale case collecting up all the counterfeit Ooze pins. Health and safety. Recent report from BBC News found fake disposables in a school that contained traces of lead, nickel, and chromium that were way beyond safe levels. I don't know what a safe level is in lead, nickel, and chromium, but any of that in a vape is probably not the best idea. According to the World Health Organization, high levels of lead exposure can affect the central nervous system and even impair brain development in children. So like I mentioned earlier, these vapes that have addictive chemicals and getting all these kids addicted to them, they go into a vape shop and they ask for an Elf bar or a Lost Mary. They're not supposed to buy it, so the way that some of these shops will minimize the risk and maximize the results is that they will sell them a counterfeit one, because they already come in cheaper, so they charge them more, and so their profit margins are higher, and if they get caught, either way, they're not supposed to do it. So then the way that these are getting in circulation to the younger crowd is because the shop owners are trying to make a little bit more money, and they'll have them off to the side, and they'll pull them from behind the counter and give them to the underage buyers. Here are some poison control numbers from the Blue Ridge Poison Control for just marijuana edible consumption. So you can see in 2018, they had one call from 0 to 5. 2019, doubles, and then 6 to 12, you have 2. 13 to 19 is still 0, and then it continues to increase. You can see a clear change in this when I started seeing these packages in 2019. If kids cannot read in 0 to 5 and they come home and you have CBD Airheads sitting on the counter, this number is going up because they know this is Airheads. It doesn't matter if there is a marijuana California logo at the very, very bottom. That's tiny. This one's pretty straight up. Even if it was this, Gas Heads, starts to go into the confusingly similar or meant to deceive. That's going to deceive the kids all day long when they come up on these. 6 to 12 started increasing as well. They might not notice the California logo. They might realize it says medicated. They might not know what that means. Still candy. 13 and 19, they probably know what's going on, and they were staying away from it until 2022, and then it started getting a little bit more, I would say it's more socially accepted. We started seeing it in the schools a lot more. We started seeing kids selling it at school, in the bathrooms, in between breaks, home rooms. But you can see these numbers in the young kids, it is just skyrocketing because how identical the packaging is makes it so they think they are eating Skittles, and then next thing you know, they eat a whole entire bag that adults might only eat 2 of before they start to feel the effects, or even eat 2 of them and pass out and take a nap. And then there was a case in Virginia where that happened, and the woman woke up and her son ate the whole rest of the bag. And then she got charged because the kid died. He didn't die immediately, but she realized that he ate it and did not take him for any help or anything like that, according to the research in the article that I read about. And because it was just marijuana. It was just a marijuana edible. If the kid's 4 and he's eating, 10 doses, and you took 2 and fell asleep, you should probably seek medical attention. But she got charged because of the negligence of how she handled that situation. So according to America's Poison Centers, reports of cannabis edible poisonings in children 12 and under have skyrocketed since 2018. 2018, there were 808 reports of poison control. In 2023, there were 6,888. So this is a growing epidemic. It is absolutely taking over our schools and communities. We can go to almost any vape shop and find it. We've done several different search warrants. We call them shop and talks, where we go in and educate some of the shop owners so it doesn't get to a point of a search warrant. Throughout Gaston, Cleveland, Rowan, Cabarrus, Mecklenburg, we've gone all over, but they're popping up faster than one person for 50 counties can drive and make contact with everybody. This is not in my slides, but it is important for parents to know about the nicotine pouches, the Zins. They are doing counterfeits of those, but more in line with this is the amount of poison control calls from kids swallowing those is skyrocketing as well, because they're getting 5 milligram, 9, 6, whatever, 12, and they're ingesting that, and it's going nicotine straight to their stomachs and really messing. No kid, I don't think, has died from it, but it is really messing with their digestive system. So it's just more of those PSAs like be very careful and dispose of those properly. In 2020, at least 2 children, 11-year-old and a 5-year-old, were hospitalized after eating a medicated Nerds Rope, a THC-laced candy from a food bank in Utah. I don't have my Nerds Rope. Nerds Rope are very popular with the kids. They are very popular because you can share them. You can break pieces off and take them to school and pass them out to all your friends. The inside gummy layer absorbs a lot of the THC, not the nerds themselves because they're hard-coated, but the inside does absorb a lot, so they seem to be a little bit more potent than other ones. A year earlier, a mother of a 5-year-old boy was arrested for child endangerment after her son brought gummies laced with THC to Cleveland Elementary School, causing 9 children to be hospitalized. I don't think that's Cleveland here, but I think in Cleveland County we did have a Dorito bag laced that caused some kids to be hospitalized. Also in Davie County, they had a medicated Nerds Rope incident where I think 5 had to be transported by EMS. In 2018, 5 middle school students were taken to the hospital after eating marijuana-laced gummy bears, which a 12-year-old boy allegedly handed out during gym class. We also had a call recently, about 2 months ago, where somebody brought a THC candy and got dared to prank the substitute teacher and gave them a piece of it, and then the substitute teacher had to be transported because he started feeling weird and didn't know what was happening, and then come to find out a kid in class gave him a laced gummy. But these are worms, but these were CBD THC worms that you could easily get mistaken for. This 12-year-old boy, bringing them to school. 2015 in Colorado, 11-month-old baby was the first reported pediatric death associated with cannabis. The baby was listed as having died from myocarditis, an inflammation of the heart muscle. They questioned whether cannabis caused the death. The Skittles and Nerdy Bears are some of the most popular ones that we see. On this side, there's red tape. This is how it was being sold in the store. Taping up the whole bottom. You flip it to the other side, that was face down. You can see it has another sticker and the California logo, but on this side, you might not notice that there's anything wrong with these. These Nerdy Bears, there's one bear on the inside of this. On the front, it says it's 200 milligrams. On the back, it says one serving size is 10, or one bear is 10 serving sizes. So you're expecting anybody to eat the leg or the ear or something off of this bear is not possible. You can't even blame somebody for eating one gummy bear. So the quality control and packaging and serving sizes just don't make sense with these. And when someone eats one bear, they wouldn't think that they just ingested. If you saw this front packaging and said 200, you wouldn't think that you took 2,000. Recently, I did an undercover purchase on the eastern side of the state, and it was for a CBD legal, but it was packaged as a Reese cup and as a peanut butter cup with an orange and yellow writing that is confusingly similar to Reese's. And when I purchased it, the owner of the shop told me to make sure to cut it into 6 different pieces, and that was one Reese cup. And that was me telling me, a grown man, who I'm obviously portraying that I'm there to buy something to ingest, and he told me to cut it into 6 pieces. So this stuff, the serving sizes get scary, especially with kids. They're gonna eat the whole bag if there's a whole bag. They're not going to eat the ear off of a gummy bear and then wait a little bit and see if they're okay. Quality control for the Elf bars. Video footage has shown counterfeit vape factories in China testing the products using their own mouths. These devices, designed to look like Elf bars, were sealed, packaged, and shipped. Other photos taken within the same factory showed workers handling mouthpieces without gloves, filthy sinks and toilets, cigarette ends on the surface next to a manufacturing line. So this is a belt of Elf bars going down, getting ready to be packaged. This is off of just TikTok. If they work, they put them back, and then the next person in line takes a little silicone mouthpiece, seals in that flavor, and then it gets boxed and shipped over here or overseas. If it doesn't work, they literally, in further videos, they like throw them over their shoulder and they just keep on going. But they just sit there and they puff on every single one of them. So if you do buy a counterfeit one, there's already a little bit extra on your first couple of hits than a real one as well, not including what else could be transmitted through that. So the Mylar baggie found in vape shops with the counterfeit trademark branding. Oh, there we go. So Doritos, these are the little perforated tabs. It looks like it's sealed. You might trust it if it's sealed. All you have to do is, like I said, you open these up, put whatever you want. You can take a straightener and crimp it and make it look really professional if you're selling off to the side or a vape shop. These Ziplocs, Flavor Savers, are a nice, very good indicator on single serving chip bags that you're not going to find those over here. You're not going to find them with the snacks. This is nice. This is a Fritos chili cheese, but we have Fritos normal corn chips. A single serving bag is not going to have the Ziploc at the top. So if you see this, because if you're in class and it's on your desk and it's sitting down and they have their book over it, you might never think twice about chips being on the table. I can't imagine teachers and what they have to deal with now. So probably a little bit of chips on the table, nothing to bring up or make a fuss about. But if teachers were to start looking for maybe the perforated tabs or the Ziploc at the top, then that could be some big red flags to help out in their classroom. Doritos, obviously Doritos is a trademark. The triangle is also a trademark. So this one has two identical trademarks on top of it. Up here, Doritos, very funny, very clever. Triangle, this is confusingly similar. This is identical. This Doritos was seized in Belmont from a gas station. Ruffles, identical. Queso, everything, you still have all the same indicators. Cheetos, Chester, Medibles, you have that. This one, you have all the different marijuana leaves on it, so you can tell a big difference. That might raise some red flags. This one, not as much. This is the one that I showed that had the red on one side and the normal sticker on the other side. Very small, little inconsistent packaging. Could be a fun size. The packaging sizes are weird because obviously the price point on these are a little bit more expensive than our bag of chips. It's very hard to argue that you didn't know what you were buying when, I don't know, in today's market this might be $2, but back in the day it might be $1 or $2, and then you go in. If they ring this up and told me it was $19.99, I'm not buying it. You know, it doesn't matter. Even at Carowinds, it's not that much. These were all seized in Fayetteville, North Carolina, through a huge operation where we hit almost every single vape shop across 3 counties. We did 97 search warrants in 2 days. These were all, as you can see, Lay's, confusingly similar, Dope Fish, Budman's Animal Crackers, Crunch Berries, Lay's, Fruity Pebbles. These are cereal bars, Crispy Trips, Chocolate Trips, and Fruit Loops, some marijuana leaves, some logos. If you take these out of these boxes, it's very, very hard to tell. This one is a Kratom infused Fruit Loop bar, and it's tiny, tiny little lettering under here. If you open these up, you won't have the same smell as if you would think back in the day someone brought brownies to school. If someone ate that, it was probably they did it on purpose. There was a very clear smell. Everyone knew what was going on. These are mostly synthetic THC, and they're not going to give off that same smell. So like the substitute teacher, you get handed a piece of gum or some candy, you can't tell outside of the packaging. And then these Doritos, a little bit different, still confusingly similar, still have some triangle, you know exactly what they're trying to do. These were also seized in a back room during a search warrant. These are some Skittles that are medicated, as you can see. You might not be able to read this, but it says customer didn't like how they look. So someone probably took these, bought them, went home, and probably had their kid or somebody say, I want some of those, or they might have even had one, or she took them out of their book bag, and then she returned them the next day. And then she traded them out, according to the clerk. So people do understand, but this is the first one. I've been in over 600 or 700 vape shops across the state. This is the first one where something's been returned. Most of the time there's a no return policy, so they'll eat it as fast as they can or throw it away, but they're probably just gonna eat it because they're not gonna waste that money. Like I said, this is a very small package. This is the same as this, and it's 15 to 25 bucks, depending on where you are. Charlotte, 25 bucks. Gaston, maybe 15. Here's your Ruffles compared to an actual bag. You have the tabs, the Ziploc, no tabs, no Ziploc, but as you can see, it is identical. Some of the coloration's a little bit off, and then you have the indicators at the bottom. But if it's on a kid's school table, like I said, and it's opened up, or I know some school districts have gone to not allowing candy outside of the original manufacturer's container. because if you take these out and put them in a Ziploc and then go to school, you cannot tell the difference until 30 minutes to an hour later when you're passed out or one of the kids is greened out, is what they call it, looking like a zombie in class. They're wide awake, but they're not responsive, and scaring all the teachers. These were the Doritos that we got out of Belmont. As you can see, it is almost identical except for the Doritos. And then this Delta 8 sticker, that is a sticker you lift it up and it just said THC. So it was just California grade, no Farm Bill, no CBD. It was just California THC inside of this. The Nerdy Bears, going back to them real quick. If you're ever on Jeopardy, these are frogs on the packaging. Fun fact, when you trademark something, you have to describe it. So these are all frogs. These are all individually trademarked in different patterns, different colors, different postures. So on top of this one, you have Nerdy Bears, confusingly similar trademark. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have 7 different trademarks that are being violated on the front of this packaging. This is off of the gummy clusters. Like this one says 420. Because it is not controlled, it is not done in an appropriate way, they will usually just put 420 on the packaging. They won't actually put what the dosage is because they don't have a R&D quality control. They don't know what's on the inside of these. And that's what's really scary. You could get one of these Nerdy Bears that's 10 servings and you could get 4,000. Or you could get one that's 1,000 because they're just making it and producing it. It's already illegal, so they're not gonna take the time to put more money and actually have it come out at the required limit. Usually what we see is just a 420 on almost every single package. Apple Jacks and Apple Traps. Cereal bars, like I said, you can see it through there. It looks just like that. No smell to it without the box. This box is a little, maybe shoot up some red flags if people saw that. But on the inside, the cellophane packaging, there's no other advertisement. So if you took it out of the box, it would look just like an Apple Jacks bar. Some things to look for in the school systems. This is a highlighter that the back end comes out and you have a one-hit smoke. You can smoke your marijuana or your CBD out of the back of it. A lot of them do right, and you just take it out and then you smoke out the top of it. They have new ones that are the key fobs, and then they have this one on this side that you actually screw the vape up into it. So it's actually, you don't have to do the extra work and go buy flour. You can just buy a cart, screw it into the top, take the top off, and it has a button on the back side where it will warm it up. Counterfeit prescription medications. Viagra is the big one. You'll have everything. You'll have everything from Viagra to Cialis. It's the same thing with this. It's counterfeit. It could be 100% sheetrock, or it could be 100% tadalafil, which is the active ingredient in Viagra. And there's been cases where people make their own, and a young gentleman took it. How do I say this? He was up for like 3 weeks, and it started pulling so much blood away from the rest of his body. He went blind in one eye and had to go through several surgeries, and that actually made it all the way through court, and they found that person responsible through a massive HSI, Homeland Security case out of California. But that case originated out of like Mississippi. So I mean, the reach and the span of counterfeit products and the harm is a national, global problem. Any questions?
mentioned the term kratom.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain that?
So kratom, it is a legal product. It is sold in gas stations. It's either in a pill or a powder form. The way to describe this in the easiest way would be if you have someone that is on some harder drugs and maybe they're going to a methadone clinic, then that would be kind of the next step to try to get off. You would use some kratom. That's how it's been explained to me. So you could do it, you can abuse it kind of the same way, or you can use it to your advantage and help you get off some of the harder stuff. But once you start mixing it, you don't know how it's going to absorb, and also there's no reason for the harder stuff to be in a cereal bar. I don't think there's any reason for the THC to be in a cereal bar either, but that is strictly to help people get off something much harder, so it actually might do the opposite and start getting them hooked on it as well. Keep on going.
Now, what you showed us, the fake packages, fake trademarks, I don't have to worry about going into a Quick Trip or 7-Eleven and finding these products.
I haven't found any across the state in what you would want to call it franchised. So if it's a mom and pop, convenience store, almost any vape shop though, because they're not regulated the same as your ABC or gas establishments, but haven't seen any in a major 7-Eleven, if you want to call it that, yeah.
Mostly vape shops.
A lot of vape shops, yes sir.
Last question.
Yep.
So, if I find these products in a vape shop or questionable mom and pop shop, what do I have to fear about what's inside the package? So what would typically be inside of one of those fake product packages?
So you'll find very rarely is it actually Farm Bill legal CBD. I think we've gotten 2 things out of 5 years that came back CBD. And then those go out of stock, and then they don't restock them because they're not selling. They're not getting the people who are going in to buy them what they actually want to achieve. This won't have anything in it. You'll see these in your vape shops. Some of them are blank, some of them are branded. You can buy these for 50 cents. You can get anything from gummies to candies to chips on the inside, and you can even get flower or bud, whatever term you prefer, inside of it as well. We've only seen THC, CBD, and then a tiny bit of kratom products. There has been links in California for fentanyl being cut inside of some of these packages. We haven't seen that even come across state lines to anywhere else. It might have been a shipment specific that got caught or something, but I don't think it was actually being distributed, but it was found in California where it had the counterfeit trademarks on top of some fentanyl product. You shouldn't have to worry about this at Halloween for being passed out simply because of the price point, but obviously someone is going to do it. It was in Chicago about 2 years ago. He passed out a couple pieces of candy during Halloween, so it's just, there's always the stories. We checked our candy even when I was a kid, and there's even more stuff to it now. It shouldn't be like a boycott Halloween type of incident, but it is just something to keep in the back of your mind. Here's my contact. You can always reach out to me through text message, phone call, or email. Also, our website, secretaryofstate.gov. There's an anonymous tip line as well. If you go into a vape shop and you don't want us to know, hey, it's you, maybe it's a little political or anything like that, or who knows what your reason could be, but you could always fill out a form and then that will just get forwarded to me as an anonymous tip. I'll get up with Trey and some of the other leaders and let them know the local contacts, so we can have better communication lines if we need to get up. And Thursday, if I'm at the beach and something happens here, then maybe we can get somebody quickly to assist if there's a problem during the school year or at an after-school camp or a YMCA, something like that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can everyone, if they wanted to, can they come up and see?
Yes, please. Yeah, y'all can come look at all the different candies and packaging. You can take pictures of it. I'll just take it all with me when I leave.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.